If we can be a light, that can make a difference. Because you know, Martin Luther said that the only thing that can put out darkness and evil is light. You know, you can't put out darkness with more darkness, light. So let's pray that we can do that. So a minute silence, please.
2, 1. I am Marcus Messiah Garvey. I was born in St. Anne's Bay, Jamaica, West Indies. I developed and organized the largest group of African people in history and the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA.
My name is Andrew Mohammed. I'll touch base what I do in a second. They call me the investigator. Jeez! In the time I've been given, I'm going to make sure I ain't on time. The time I've been given, we are not looking at his life in the sense of he was born at this day and then he went and done this at this day and then he travelled to America that day. The point I'm making is I would love to do a chronological investigation of his life, but that's not what today is about. Today is about the legacy that he's left behind and aspects of his legacy and his teachings that we can use today to go into 2015 with. You okay with that, brothers and sisters? Yeah. Easy now. Okay, I see you. Alright, I said Gwa. Gwa means go. Just go. Papa G, you know what Papa G means. P-A-P-A-G means positive attitude produces awesome greatness. Jeez! Dedication to our, this brother, I can't tell you how much I love this brother. I would not be here today if it wasn't for this brother. Many of us would not be here today the way that we think if it wasn't for this brother. And yet, most of our youth have never heard his name before. There's been a 100% conspiracy to kill any memory of this man. But yet he's done something that has affected all of us, no matter what faith, what class, what creed you're in. This man here, the first aspect that most people know about when it comes to the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey is this. He's teaching about Africa's rise. Now many of us don't appreciate that based on his theology and based on his teachings, Africa wouldn't be Africa that we know today if it wasn't for this man. No one, this is what he stated, no one knows when the hour of Africa's redemption cometh. It is in the wind. It is coming, he had no doubt. One day, like a storm, it will be here. When that day comes, Africa will stand together. And with that theology and that teaching, he caused a revolution that no one even knew that he started that revolution. Many of African leaders and great thinkers came unashamedly and they stated, we came from the understanding and the teachings and the workings of the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Jomo Kenyatta was the first president of independent Kenya in 1964. Okay, some argue that he's the greatest and most beloved son of that beautiful country. His vision for a unified and free Kenya lives on, and it's a major source of inspiration not only for Kenyans but all people of African descent. And he stated many times that literally the inspiration for him was the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey, such as some of his sons. Who's that brother there? Oh, come on, Patrice Lumumba was a Congolese independence leader for the first legally elected Prime Minister of the Republic of Congo. And again, once again, he literally worked and grabbed and literally designed independence for his country, but again, inspired by the teachings of the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Our brother is Steve Biko. We could do a whole class on this brother here. He was literally known as being the one that literally introduced independent black thinking on such a level to South Africa and was murdered by the police, okay? And yet he said one of his greatest influence was the vision of the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey. This is what Marcus Garvey. Who's that brother here? Kwame. Come on, man. Kwame Nkrumah, beloved. I love this brother. One of my great inspirations, okay? From Ghana. And not only did he say that whilst he's in the United States, he studied the ideas of Garvey and came back and inspired him for to rip Ghana from colonial rule But he says, since Garvey may argue that nobody has done more to bring freedom to Africa, pride and dignity to black people everywhere, and honour to Marcus Garvey, then Kwame Nkrumah. He really used the honourable teachings of the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey. In honour of Garvey's inspiration, Nkrumah named the national shipping line of Ghana the Black Star Line. For those of you who may not know, that is what the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey used, and we're going to go into it a bit later, when he set up one of the first black independently owned shipping line. He done it from America with his 4 million followers worldwide. He set up a black independent shipping unit called the Black Star Line. And yet, our great brother here, Kwame Nkrumah, used the same, even to today, for Ghana. Also, when you look at Ghana's flag, you see the black star in the centre of it, and literally the soccer team is called the Black Stars. These are all coming from directly from the teachings of the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey. He caused the revolution. Who's that brother here? Nelson. You don't know. And we know that the price of Nelson Mandela paid for us. But yet Nelson Mandela, in his 27 years in prison, has always stated that he studied and was inspired by the teachings of the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And yet none of our children know nothing about this man. Why is it? And yet he's affected the world all over. Because when we understand, if you love, and you know, they want to push up, and I agree, you want to push up Mandela as a saint now. Then why don't you go to where his foundation was? If he's talking about the man that inspired me to do what I'm doing was Marcus Garvey, then why don't our children know nothing about Marcus Garvey? You see what I'm saying? It's a dangerous trap here, brothers and sisters, because Marcus Garvey gave us so much. How does that apply today? One of the things that we must start doing, we must get our children more politically in tune with the world. One of the greatest weaknesses, our young children, our youth today, are the greatest youth we've ever given birth to. Believe me, they are awesome. But what they lack is two things: self-identity and political awareness. And what we're doing over the last year or two, with a group that I'm working with called African Caribbean Diversity, we're training more young people in politics. Here, I don't know, there's Nyasha. Those of you know Nyasha. Yeah, we sent her to Brussels last year. I'm just trying to think of any others that you may know. But these are a few of our young students that we work with, and it's aimed at literally taking them to Brussels and getting them trained and educated into world politics. Okay? So this is something we can actually do as a community. We didn't go around begging for money. We said there's a need for our youth to get politically wise, especially when it comes to Africa. Because the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey said Africa is the foundation for the 21st century. Why would he say that? Because whilst they get us running away from Africa, they know that Africa is the very base of wealth worldwide. They try to make us run away from Africa, but yet, who's heard of this mineral, coltan? Okay, coltan, yeah, it's actually found mainly in Central Africa. And without this mineral, brothers, remember this, go and look it up. If it wasn't for this mineral, you would not have a computer. You won't be able to do texting. You won't be able to fly a plane. You won't be able to do anything hardly electrical if it wasn't for that one chemical or mineral called coltan. Marcus Garvey said this: the pen is mightier than the sword, but the tongue is mightier than them both put together. And nothing's more powerful than an artist with a revolutionary tongue. A tongue that is economically wise, politically wise, historically wise. Yeah? The Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey said this: we are going to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, because whilst others might free the body, none but ourselves can free the mind. What man am I talking about now? Come on, sister. One person who's black over there. Lord digger. If I said, like, if I play Little Spice Girls, everyone would have jumped in there. I'm glad you showed me that you know. Listen, man. This, don't you think he needs a round of applause, man? We can't forget it. He said the man inspired, he said the two greatest forces on earth that inspired him was Haile Selassie and the Honourable Marcus Messiah Garvey. He said he called Garvey the prophet, brethren. That's how much this man loved him. And he said, how long shall I kill our prophets? Whilst what? Lick shop on Babylon, backwards. Let's remind ourselves. Let's remind ourselves. Inspired by Marcus Garvey's speeches. Redemption song. If you know the words, man, sing along. 1, 2, 1, 2. Sing like I'm paying you, brethren. Thank you, Leonard. Sing, brethren. From where? By who?
By the hand of the Almighty.
Why?
We forward in this generation.
Why?
Triumphantly.
Come on, help me sing what?
Won't you help to sing?
Sing what?
Another song of freedom.
As you know, the Honourable Marcus Garvey inspired and literally, oh man, Burning Spear. You know I don't have to go there with you now. Burning Spear himself said literally, the Honourable Marcus Garvey is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Who's this brother? Come on, man, one of the greatest.
That's not.
What?
That's fella.
Fella?
Yeah.
Yeah, fella Kuti.
Yeah, Fela Kuti. One of the greatest that who said that literally inspired him. Who's this sister? Lauren Hill. Again, she said that literally Bob Marley and the Honourable Marcus Garvey inspired her. Remove the kinks from your mind, not your hair. See, I'm talking about how we literally create a revolution and we don't know nothing about him. Now, as you know, many of you know I'm going to schools every day of my life. And I have certain young people that roll with me. This brother here is a fantastic brother that rolls with me to many of my schools. His name is Michael Amin. And he's created a whole movement called World Changers. So we move away from the music, let's go to the faith now. I'm talking about how it can be used today, because our youth are using it. Garvey always spoke about a unifying faith. He said Negroes the world over must practice one faith, that is of confidence. He said one God, one aim, one destiny. Let no religious scruples, no political machinations divide us, but let us hold together under all climes and in every country, making ourselves a racial empire upon which the sun shall never set. So how did he inspire us in terms of faith? Well, you know, I'm going to give a big brat to my Rastafarian brothers and sisters. Yeah? Because, yeah, man, I love them. I would not be here if it wasn't for Rastafari. Understand that? And I'm saying as a Muslim, yeah, it's Rasta that kept us awake in the darkest times. True. So I will never diss my Rasta brothers and sisters. But it was the Honourable Marcus Garvey that laid some of the foundations for the Rastafarian movement. How can we say that? Because back in 1916, he gave a prophecy. And he said in sorry about that, brothers and sisters. He said in 1960, when Garvey was leaving Jamaica to go to the United States in his farewell address, he told many Garveyites, look to Africa for the crowning of a black king. He shall be the Redeemer.
Hearing what Brother Andrew was saying towards the end. But what really occurred is that Marcus Garvey being in Jamaica, being head of an international organization, he needed to be somewhere where you could be linking with the motherland and also moving to places like Canada and States where the organization was still strong. So London was the next best place, more than Kingston in terms of communications. So that's why he moved to here strategic.
The contribution of others within the organization, the UNIA. We are commemorating the 100th anniversary of the foundation of the UNIA. So it's not just about Marcus Garvey. So when you leave, don't just talk about Marcus Garvey. Talk about the organization called the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, and African Communities League. Thank you very much. Young people.
We've taken some elements from what you said, but also from the man himself, Marcus Garvey. But we've also brought in some elements of the Rasta culture, Rastafarian culture, and also chanting. So, a big hand for these young people.
I thought it was very, it talked to a lot of stuff about the Garvey and what he did,
Was it good?
Yeah.
Did you have fun with the instruments? Ah, well done. Thank you very much.
I never knew Marcus Garvey like the way I know him now. Now I know a bit more what he did and what he's about, because now the school I go to and I've been to, they don't really show us the real history of Marcus Garvey. They don't even mention Marcus Garvey in our history lesson, so it's good to know where we come from and our background.
This evening was a fantastic event. It was very informative, very interactive, and very entertaining also. So thank you very much.
Brilliant.
We will be back.
And how was the music, the workshop that you did?
It was good, and you made it easy to learn. So that's how I was able to perform it.
That's good.